look like, sound like, talk like? What is her background? Where did she grow up? Those are all questions that you might have. And this is how we're going to do it. While she is speaking, we are going to be, what? Listening, okay? Listening, so that we can take in. There are so many people in the state of New York who wanted to sit where you're sitting right now. But you were selected. So with that, first we will have our color guard, our JROTC, and we'll stand for the national anthem. Our selection from the Roosevelt Middle School Orchestra, Miss Reagan, your select choir will sing the national anthem. And then we will have a special surprise. You ready? Okay, let's practice. And I'm gonna ask everyone who is standing to please be seated. Everyone who is standing, and if we can balance out, yes. Everyone who is standing, please be seated. That would be great. Ready? All right, ladies. Ms. Reagan, after you. Ladies, please stand to your feet. And gentlemen, please receive Mrs. Universe, Mrs. Juanita Brown Ingram. And now, the color guard, JROTC, please remain standing.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, on the ramparts we watch, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Gay through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? O'er the land of the free, and the home of God.
Please be seated. We will now have a selection by the Roosevelt Middle School Orchestra. How are you today? Today we have a very, 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 very special guest. I know you've probably heard of Miss America. That's someone who is not married. But have you heard of Mrs. America? Mrs. America, someone who is married. Well, not only Mrs. America, but Mrs. Universe. Wow. Today, all the way from Singapore, our special guest is Mrs. Universe, Mrs. Juanita Brown Ingram.
What made you want to get involved in pageantry to begin with?
You know, I think pageantry with purpose is powerful. And so I, as an attorney, I was invited to speak to young girls often. And then you have to be careful what you pray for. Because I said, well, God, I would love to do this more often. Use me. What can I do? And I heard pageantry whispered, and I said, no way. But then I went to the book of Esther, which is the first historical account of pageantry that we have. And I saw that it was there with a purpose. So I said, okay, if I put on a sash and a crown, and the words coming out of my mouth mean more to these young ladies to encourage them to make smart decisions and to really let them know that intelligence is beautiful, and so be it. And that was my journey. That's how I started.
Because it is more than just a beauty pageant.
It is. Yes, absolutely. Well, interview counts just as much as evening gown, just as much as swimsuit. So intelligence wins the crown. And I think that that's something that's really important for people to know.
Yeah, you can try it out. My gosh, the words are like amazing. That's what she wants. You've been calling behind the scenes for the reality series, The Expats International Neighborhoods, right? So I want to play a clip and then we'll take a look.
Okay.
I'll talk about it.
The unexpected of living abroad. Dog licenses were taken.
And I just saw a void and a need in the niche for there to be a show that normalized Black people.
We shout it out one more time. I'm expecting greatly.
That was the video, and now live. Put your hands together for Mrs. River.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. There are a lot of you here today. This is beautiful. Thank you to the Color Guard. That was amazing. To the orchestra. That was amazing. I grew up playing 5 instruments and in choir. My mother was a school teacher for 32 years in the public school system. So it was in middle school when I first started in choir, and I picked up my first instrument. I played 5, piccolo, flute, piano, saxophone, and percussion. I was a drum major in high school. So music and the performing arts is very important to me. So thank you so much. I know how much it took for that to happen, and practice makes perfect. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the superintendent, to all of the teachers, everyone that invited me to be here. I'm excited to be here. It's an honor. I am originally from Tennessee, as you can hear from my accent. I tell people I'm not country, I'm Southern though. Southern to the bone. And I do live in Singapore. Before that, I lived in Taiwan. And I also lived in London for 5 years. And so I'm gonna take questions at the end, but yes, I will answer questions at the end. But I wanted to talk to everybody today about life choices. And I'm just so excited and so happy to be here with you because this time frame in your life right now is when choices really start to matter. The choices that you make today, believe it or not, I know it seems like it's a long way off, but the choices that I made in 7th and 8th grade, small things, added up to where I am today. So as you heard, I am an attorney. I've been a lawyer for quite some time. I worked in entertainment law. So entertainment law is like, you work with celebrities and TV shows and, a lot of things in the entertainment field. And then I started producing and doing television and writing books and things of that nature. So I decided to be a lawyer in the 8th grade. And the reason why I decided to be a lawyer in the 8th grade is because I talked too much in class. And I used to get in trouble and they used to sit me over in the corner and they would tell all my friends, please stop hanging out with her because she talks too much in class. Now I needed to be quiet. I needed to obey. I needed to have some discipline and to hush. But I remember sitting in the corner one day and telling myself, one day somebody's gonna pay me to talk. I'm gonna get paid to talk. I'm not gonna get put in this corner anymore. And I'm gonna get out of this corner and somebody's gonna pay me for my opinions. And I also wanted to help people. And that's really what lawyers do. We talk through problems and we help people with their solutions and to find solutions, whether they're starting a business, whether they have legal issues, but we help solve problems. And I wanted to help people. And that's the heart that God gave me. So I want to talk to you today about empowered for change, about confidence, goals, and your future. So I know a lot of you are familiar with pageantry and Miss Universe and Miss USA and Miss America, but a lot of people are not aware of what it truly takes to win a pageant. So raise of hands, what do you think it takes to win a pageant? Anybody? Beauty, that's one thing. It is a beauty competition, yes, yes. Confidence, yes, yes. Talent, yes, because I think in Miss America is where you have to have talent. So Miss USA, they don't do talent, but Miss America, you'll see when young ladies sing and dance and have talent. Yes. Anybody else? Yes, all the way in the back. It does take a lot of courage because you have to stand in front of people and say, judge me. Tell me what you think of me. Tell me what you think of my evening gown. Tell me what you think of my walk. It takes a lot of courage. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? Yes, in the blue. Discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. It absolutely does. I had to rehearse. I know it looks like I'm walking. Like when you walk across the stage, it just looks like a normal walk, but it is not a normal walk. It is actually very difficult to walk in 6-inch heels and to do it very eloquently up and down stairs and back and forth and to make it look effortless. At least it was for me because I did not come up and grow up in pageantry. I decided to do my first pageant as a Mrs. contestant after I was a lawyer. And walking in front of an entire panel of judges is very scary at times. Anybody ever felt scared and sort of shy? Yes. Y'all, I'm the only one? I'm the only shy person here? Okay, I didn't think so. It is very scary sometimes when other people look at you and judge you and have to evaluate you. So yes, you have to dig deep. Any other thoughts on what it takes to win a pageant? Yes. Say it again. Kind of pretty? Yeah, well, hopefully. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's almost, and this is a point, it's almost impossible to compare people to one another. Because when we stand on stage, we are so different. So my first runner-up, the girl that was first after me, was Mrs. Canada. She is of Asian Canadian descent, Chinese Asian descent. And then my second runner-up was Mrs. Sweeten. Mrs. Sweeten is 6 foot tall. I don't know if you noticed, somebody else noticed earlier today, I'm not the tallest person in the world. Mrs. Sweeten was 6 foot tall, blonde haired, blue eyed. Okay, she looked like a tall model. How do you compare the three of us to one another? You don't. Well, some people feel that pageantry, that you're comparing yourself to one another, this is a form that's true in life. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else. I say to everybody, every woman standing on that stage is a rose. Now, I may be a sequence leopard print rose that day. Okay, Mrs. Sweeten was a beautiful blue sparkle rose, and Mrs. Canada was a nice pink rose, but we were all roses. On that particular day, if the judges are in the mood for pink roses, does that mean that I'm not a rose and I'm not beautiful? No, it just meant that that day they were in the mood for pink roses, but we're all still a rose, and you cannot compare pink, leopard print, or glitter roses to one another. They're not the same. So the way that you win a pageant and really win in life is bringing your best self to the table. And what that means is I'm not really competing against the person standing next to me. I'm competing in life with them. And we're all on a journey. And we're not comparing ourselves to one another. I'm trying to be the absolute best that I can. And the reason why I won is because of the confidence that exudes from me. And it makes me look taller to some people. It makes me look bigger than what I am to some people. But where does that confidence come from? And that's what I really want to talk about today, is confidence. So I'm going to get my clicker. Oh, I can touch it? Nice, okay. So sources of real confidence and real self-esteem. How many of us have heard of the term self-esteem? Everybody? Yes, it's used all the time. People talk about self-esteem, self-esteem. How many of us have high self-esteem all the time? You feel great about yourself all the time. That's good for those of you who do. For the others of us who are being honest, you're not going to always have high self-esteem. And let me explain to you exactly what self-esteem is. I don't like the term self-esteem. I actually really loathe it. I think it is useless. And I think that sometimes it tends to lend itself to people having really bad feelings about themselves, because self-esteem is a feeling. It is not a fact. It is not a stable concept. It is based on your thoughts and your feelings about yourself in terms of how you feel you look. It's how you judge yourself. It's how other people judge you. It's based on what you do, what you accomplish. It's something that comes up and down. Some days I feel great about myself, and then there are other days when I don't. Some days my hair is great, and some days I'm not having a good hair day. Some days I feel wonderful in my outfit, and some days it's just not working out. Self-esteem is a feeling. Feelings change. Thoughts change. How you feel about yourself changes. How people see you changes. But if you base your life based on what somebody else thinks of you and how they judge you, you will always struggle with self-esteem. The difference is that self-esteem does not make up confidence. It just doesn't. The things that make up confidence are self-worth, self-efficacy, and we'll define what self-efficacy means. But self-worth and self-efficacy equals confidence. And then life is all about the choices that you make also. So self-worth because I prefer self-worth, because self-worth is concrete. It's about your identity, it's about who you are, that never changes. It has nothing to do with what you accomplish. It has nothing to do with how somebody sees you. It has nothing to do even with how you see yourself. It's not about the judgment of other people. It's not about external validation of what other people think of you. It is a finite right and a definite identity as to who you are. Okay, so self-worth, again, it never changes. It understands your identity. Self-worth says, because I was born and I am a human being, I am worthy of honor, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of respect, I'm worthy of kindness. I give those things to myself first, and then I expect and I deserve those things from other people, period. Without qualification, without question, basic human dignity, basic human right. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what kind of grades you make, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter how you feel. These are the basic things that you must know, that you are unique, that you are precious, that you are a gift. You. Why do I say that? Because there is no one else on the planet like you. Unless you have a twin, and even if you have a twin, technically your DNA is still different. Your fingerprints are different. You are unique, and you are here for a unique purpose that only you can do. And I know that feels like really overwhelming right now. Like, really, am I really here for something that is so unique? Yes, because you didn't have to be here. You're not a mistake. You could have not been born. You could have passed away already. You could not be here. But the fact that you are here and you are breathing and you are human and you are born, period, means that you are special, unique, here for a specific purpose. That never changes. So regardless of how you feel about yourself, whether you feel pretty, whether you feel intelligent, whether you feel like you've accomplished something, it doesn't matter it doesn't change who you are. I'll give you an example. When I first went to law school, first of all, I went to an undergrad. In undergrad, I went to a college, a historically Black university. I went to Tennessee State University. My undergrad degree was in accounting. So I always wanted to be an accountant. It was weird, right? I always wanted to be an accountant, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. So I was like, okay, I'll take one step and I'll become an accountant, then I'll go and become a lawyer, and then I'll be a business lawyer, and I'll help people start their businesses. And that's what I wanted to do. But in accounting, 1 + 1 always equals 2, right? It's numbers. And I like math, I like dealing with money, I like dealing with numbers. So 1 + 1 always equals 2. I went through all 4 years in high school, all 4 years in college, graduated with a degree in accounting. Then I went to law school, and law school was very different. So I had a very hard time my first semester in law school. I made 3 B's, 2 A's, and 3 C's. And I know that doesn't sound bad, but in graduate school, if you make a C, you could fail out of graduate school. Like, they look at that as really, really bad. There's a lot of pressure, right? Because in my world, I was like, well, C is average. No. I went into my career counselor's office that day, right after the first semester, and I remember the color of the carpet because I was looking down. It was like it kind of looked like this. This is traumatic. Kind of like this carpet. But I was looking down so hard at the carpet because he told me, Juanita, you ought to drop out of law school. You should drop out. No judge is ever going to hire you. No law firm is ever going to want you. You are probably never going to pass the bar exam. Like, you have these C's on your transcript and your legal career is done. You're never really going to amount to much. No law firm is going to hire you. Not with this transcript. You probably need to walk across the street to the business school and never come back. And he looked me in my face and said that with a straight face, like it was finite and it was real. Now, I knew that since the 8th grade, I wanted to be an attorney, right? And I also knew that I wanted to be an accountant, and I knew that, hey, this is something that I feel that I can do. I want to help people. I want to do this. But in that moment, I felt defeated. I felt unworthy. I felt like a failure. I felt like I cannot accomplish this. But then I had to dig deep and ask myself, who was I going to believe? Am I going to believe this person who doesn't even know me, who just met me, based on a couple of grades, based on a couple of moments, a snapshot in time? Or am I going to hold fast to what I know that I am unique, that I have a gift, that I am special, that I am called to help people, that this is something that I want to do and something that I can do. Now, fast forward to the end of law school, not only did I graduate, but I pulled my GPA up to like a 3.5. I did walk across the business school, and I ended up getting my law degree and my MBA at the same time. I graduated in the top of the top and I passed the bar exam the first time. And so I found out later on that, and I'm not sure that this is the thing, you gotta be careful about the messages that people give you and some of the things that people say to you. Because I found out that this person, which I'm not sure if he was even qualified to be a career counselor, because he had never passed the bar. So I was like, that's really interesting that you would cut down someone and tell somebody what they cannot become. And you haven't even accomplished what you're saying I will never do. But I went on to do the exact thing. I worked for one of the top judges in Memphis. I went to law school in Memphis. I worked for one of the top judges in the city. I worked for the largest law firm in Tennessee. I've gone on to represent Fortune 500 companies. I went on to do everything that he said that I wouldn't do. But in that moment, I had a choice to make. Was I going to believe what this person was saying to me? Or was I going to hold fast to what I knew my identity was, my self-worth, not my self-esteem? So my self-esteem in that moment was low, and that's okay. It was a feeling. If someone was telling you that you were going to be an ultimate failure in that moment, you would feel low too. Everybody has moments where they receive negative messages from other people, and sometimes it's not even other people. Sometimes it's a dialogue that you have with yourself. If you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you're having a bad hair day, okay? I live in Singapore right now. Singapore is in Asia. It is very hot, it's very humid. My hair is natural, all right? I flat iron it, I wear extensions, but my natural hair is about down to here, and I don't have any chemicals in it. It's big, it's huge. It is very hot and humid in Singapore. I don't always have control of what my hair does. Any natural hair girls in here? Anybody understand? So you know the struggle is real sometimes, okay? The struggle is real. They're like, oh, you should wear your hair curly. That's not always my choice, okay? My hair does what she wants to do. I call her Rochelle, it's my afro, I've named her. And Rochelle does what she wants to do sometimes. Sometimes I feel great about Rochelle. And sometimes I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, we are really having a hard time. And we're on a struggle bus today. And I don't feel great. But my feelings will change. Your feelings about yourself will change. Maybe how somebody feels about you will change. But it doesn't matter as long as you understand your self-worth. What are you worthy of? Are you worthy to be respected? Are you worthy for kindness? And sometimes it's not the fact that other people will give that to you. You have to give it to yourself. In that moment, he was not going to give me support. He was not going to give me kindness. He was giving me what he felt like was the truth that I needed to drop out. But I had to give myself and talk to myself and say, self, Juanita, you can do this. You're worthy of trying. You're worthy of not giving up. You have a gift. It doesn't matter what it looks like right now. Sometimes things don't always come immediately. I tell people all the time, my journey to this crown and being Mrs. Universe started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I went to Mrs. Universe as Mrs. UK Universe. And I went there and I didn't place. I didn't make top 15, I didn't make top 10, I didn't make top anything. What was weird that year is that there was an e-vote category, so people online could vote. And I won the e-vote, so 1.43 million people voted, and I won. But I stood on stage, and because of 6 people, I was not crowned. Now, what does that mean? I could have listened in that moment and said, okay, maybe it's not meant for me to be Mrs. Universe. This is not my moment. Something's wrong here. I should just give up. Because these people right here, these 6 people, clearly don't think that I'm good enough to wear the crown. I didn't even make top 15. I didn't even get called. Only thing I got called for was you won the e-vote. The world thinks you're great, but in this moment, no. I could have given up. And I could have said, you know what? Not for me. I'm just gonna quit right here, right where we are. But sometimes in life, things don't always happen when you want them to. The journey is all about the character development and what it is that you want to do and how hard you're willing to work for it. I could have dropped out of law school. I could have never gone back into pageantry. I could have given up in that moment. So many opportunities to just say, never mind, because other people did not see my value or my work. There were no Black women that were called that year. None of us made top 15. There were no, we just didn't. And that is very common in international pageants at this level. I think it was 1984 that Vanessa Williams won Miss America, first Black woman to do that. In 2022, I was the first Black woman to win Mrs. Universe. There had never been before. That would have never happened. Now, it took 10 years, and I did a lot of other things in between that time because I wanted to really evaluate, is this something that I should really do? And there's nothing wrong with taking a moment and deciding what it is that you want to do. But you should stay active and productive in the meantime, in between time, because there are still things for you to do, even if something is delayed. It may not necessarily be a denial, just a delay. But in the meantime, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit there and sulk and be sad? Or are you going to decide, like I did, I wrote 7 books. I decided to produce television shows. I won 9 Telly Awards. I got a show on the Emmy ballot. What are you going to do in the meantime, in between time? Because I'm still worthy. Even though these 6 people decided, not today, Juanita. And what it is, what I had to come to grips with, it wasn't my moment. That here was Mrs. Malaysia's moment. That is okay. You have to be okay with it being someone else's season. And it doesn't mean that you're not worthy. Again, it's not about self-esteem. It's not about how you feel. It's not about what you accomplish or what you don't accomplish. It's about your absolute self-worth. I was still special. I had to believe that deep down in my core. And that goes to the conversations you have with yourself. So back to you looking in the mirror at you. What do you say to yourself in the mirror when you see yourself in the mirror in the morning? You know, I'm not a big affirmations person alone, but I do think that affirmations work. And what an affirmation is something that you say every day. So I have these little stickers on my mirror that I say to myself every morning, because the dialogue that you have with yourself matters. It's about how you treat yourself first. If somebody's mean to you, ask yourself, when was the last time you were mean to yourself? Somebody said something negative about you, well, when was the last time you said something negative about yourself? Because you wouldn't be triggered if that didn't touch a sore spot. And it touches a sore spot and it triggers you because you're having these dialogues and you're judging yourself. Judgments of other people are just opinions. Everybody has an opinion. You know, and people have eyes, ears, everybody has an opinion. Why do you care? Why do you care what somebody thinks of you? Because you think it of yourself. There's something that you're identifying with. That's an internal dialogue. Conversations you're having with yourself matter. Every day you wake up in the morning, you need to look in the mirror and tell yourself, even if you don't feel it, I'm special, I am called, I have gifts, I have talents, even if you don't feel it that day. Because you need to hear it. Yourself deserves to hear that. You're here, you're breathing, you're alive, you're worthy of all of these things. You don't have to do anything to earn respect and honor. You don't have to accomplish anything to know that you're deserving of that. But you have to know it first, all right? So, in developing your identity, I'm a big proponent of journaling. So in one of my books that I have a journal that I've created. My book is called Fabulous, Faithful, and Free. And it's all about being just that, fabulous, faithful, and free. Free from the opinions of other people. And how you do that is developing your own identity. So I hate when people say stuff and don't really give you the tools to do it. Like they'll tell you, oh, develop your own identity. That sounds great. What on earth does that mean? How do I do that? You know, oh, have high self-worth. That sounds lovely. And how do we do that? Every day, I wake up and I journal. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be 50 pages. It could be a paragraph, but you take the time to do that because you're important to yourself. If you don't take the time to love on you, how do you expect anybody else to do that? You have to do that first for yourself. So my act of self-care, because I love me and because I feel like I'm worthy, whether I look great that day or whether I'm perfect that day or not, I take the time and I ask myself these questions. And you can do this all year long. Just because you answer it one way, 3 months from now, you may feel differently. The only things that aren't growing and changing are things that are dead. All right, plants die off, they stop growing. You're going to grow and you're going to change. What you want to do this year, you may not want to do by the time you're in high school, and that is perfectly okay. So what I do, who am I? How do I define myself and my purpose? Now, who am I? That sounds like a really easy question to answer. But I want you to answer that and don't use your name. I don't want you to say, I am Kim. That's not who you are, that's your name. Who are you? It's a very hard question to answer. How do I define myself and my purpose? You may have to sit with that. I know some 40-year-old women that can't do this, okay? So don't think that it's an easy thing to do. Don't think that it's something that if you struggle with it, that is something wrong with you. But you deserve to take the time to sit down and think about it because this is a value system. Who am I? Am I a person that likes to talk about people behind their back? I mean, maybe you are, I don't know. Only you know that. But if you're not, then do the choices that you make align with who you are? That's why you have to revisit who you are all the time, because we all have choices to make in life. And sometimes the choices that we're making, they don't really align with who we really are. You said earlier, it takes bravery to win a pageant. It takes bravery to be yourself. It takes a brave, courageous person to stand in who you are and then to make choices that may not be popular. My daughter is 15, all right? I have a 15-year-old daughter. She is in the 9th grade. She goes through situations where she loses friends, where people that she thought were her friends no longer are her friends, where she finds out that her friends were talking about her, and, she's hurt by that. And sometimes I have to tell her that not everybody is going to stay true to who they truly are. Deep down inside, we are all people just trying to do the best that we possibly can in life. But sometimes people go through seasons where they're broken. They're hurt. They have things going on in their personal life and their home life. That's no excuse, but hurt people hurt people. But what you want to do is decide, who am I? What choices am I making? Does that align with who I am? Am I a two-faced person? Am I a trustworthy person? Am I a person that values sisterhood? Do I want to be a good friend to other girls? Do I want to accomplish things in life? Am I a good student? Am I going to graduate from high school? Do I want to accomplish certain things? And you have to make choices that align with who you are. But you have to sit down and think about, who am I? Because in the moment, it's not the time for you to decide. It's a time for you to react and respond. In the moment where you have a choice, I had a choice in that moment. Do I listen to this man and honestly withdraw from law school in this moment? Because I think he had a withdrawal slip on his desk in that moment, and this is your slip right here, and you should withdraw from school. And he was ready. I had a choice to make in that moment. I couldn't wait and decide, Juanita, are you special? Are you kind? Are you worthy of trying? Are you going to give up? No, I had to make that decision before I walked in his office, before I walked into the law school, before I did any of those things. So you have to sit down and think about this. I feel most secure when? When do you feel secure? When do you feel insecure? I feel most proud when? Get in tune with yourself and your emotions and your true identity of who you are. And once you are able to stand firm on that, that's when you can walk confidently in who you are, because you're going to make choices that align with that. I feel really hindered trying to do this. I know it's me. I'm going to do that one. I think it's the other screen. Thank you. So the other part of confidence is self-efficacy. So the word self-efficacy simply means that you have confidence in your ability to do something. And so I talked about earlier, I picked up my first instrument when I was in 7th grade. I started out at 4. My mother wouldn't let me go outside and play until I finished my piano lessons. But that's because she was a music teacher. But I picked up my first instrument in the 7th grade. And I love music because it's a direct correlation to work ethic. So you are only as good on your instrument as you are if you practice. The many hours that you practice is reflected on how you perform. It's the same with sports, it's the same with anything. Pageantry is a sport. You know, it's only effective as much as you practice, you can see it as to who practiced their walk and who didn't. And so self-efficacy is all about your ability to accomplish something. And the great thing about self-efficacy is it's all about skills. It's all about studying. So you want to be an effective communicator or public speaker, that's a skill. You want to be able to study, that's a skill. You want to be able to be a lawyer, that's a skill. Skills can be learned. That's the beauty part of self-efficacy. You can always learn something. I have a dog. You'll see him if you watch our show this season. You'll see we have a new dog. His name is Chicken Nugget. Don't ask. He looked like a little chicken nugget when we got him, so that's what we call him. We call him Nugget for short. But I taught Nugget how to sit. If I can teach a dog how to sit, you can learn to do anything because you are smarter than a dog. And although poodles are the smartest breed, and Chicken Nugget is a poodle, and he's extremely intelligent, but you must know that you are way more intelligent than Chicken Nugget. And a Chicken Nugget can learn tricks, and he has a couple of tricks that he can do. But you are far more capable than him. And self-efficacy just means I can accomplish something. I have a skill that I can learn. It just is a matter of how long you want to practice, how dedicated you are, but you can do anything that you put your mind to. So once you have that knowledge and understanding, it starts small. You know, it could be small things that you set up to do, but it's all about habit. It's all about making the right choices and dedicating yourself to doing something. But once you understand that you can learn anything, any skill, self-worth and self-efficacy equals confidence. That's how you feel confident in knowing who you are and what you're capable of. You are able to accomplish anything if you combine those two along with choices. There we go. So you have to make a decision that you want to be better. I used to have a coach in law school. Her name was Coach Krzyzewski. She was Russian. And she was one of the meanest coaches in the law school. So we used to have these mock trial competitions. And everybody was scared of Coach Krzyzewski. She was really mean. I'm not gonna lie, mean in the sense that if we messed up, she would like throw erasers at us and hit us in the head. I don't advise that. She did it. We were very effective though. We would win out of fear. But I don't advise that. I'm quite certain in most states that that's illegal. I'm not sure she should have done that. But we were very effective. But the one thing that she did instill in us, in addition to the ability to dodge erasers, but the one thing that she did tell us was the ability to rise above the mediocrity of life. One year we came here to New York for the competition and we were competing against other schools. So we would make our arguments and, try to win our cases. And it was a pretend mock trial case. And that year I was on the team and we lost. And I was so hurt that I had disappointed Coach K that I went in the hall and I started crying. This is how dedicated I was. And I was so hurt that we lost. And she came out in the hallway and said, "What on earth are you crying for? I am so proud of you." And we had just lost. I'm like, what is she talking about? She said, "I'm so proud of you because you rose above the mediocrity of life. You didn't have to be here. You didn't have to take this on. You didn't have to work this hard. And it's not about win or lose. It's about the fact that you rose above where you were. So at the beginning of the semester, you weren't that great, and you are far better of an advocate today than you were yesterday because you worked really hard. Be proud of the effort. It's not always about outcomes, but it's about taking a step to rise above. Mediocrity means like things that come easy to you, things that you can coast through life and do. You never have to challenge yourself. You never really have to step up to the plate and work hard for anything. It's a mediocrity in life. You just coast through life. When you rise above where you're coasting and actually set a goal and reach for it, whether you attain it perfectly or not. I did not perfectly attain the crown the first time. I didn't. I don't know what went wrong. Something went wrong. I don't know. But I didn't. But in that process and in that journey, I rose above the mediocrity of life and it pushed me forward. And eventually, I landed. You cannot give up. You have to stay and have tenacity, and you have to keep going for things that you believe are meant for you, regardless of what somebody else says. This time around for the crown, we didn't have 6 judges. We had 40. We had 40 judges for every category, 40 different judges. It's a total of 160 judges. And I won every category. Now, if I had stopped and listened to those 6 people tell me that I wasn't worthy of the crown, where would I be? Sometimes you can't always listen to the narrative of a few people. But the most important thing is not even the 160. The 160 were swayed because I stood on stage and I had a narrative with myself. I was confident in myself. I knew that I was already Mrs. Universe in my mind. Regardless of whether they crowned me or not, I had already won because I worked really hard. I knew that I was capable, and I knew that I hadn't given up. So standing on that stage, I could have coasted through life. I'm already successful at a bunch of different things. I do a bunch of other things. I didn't necessarily need this. But I decided not to coast and to challenge myself. And in doing so, you rise above the mediocrity of life. So I challenge you today, what is it that you're comfortable doing? And what is it that you feel like is outside of your reach? And I challenge you to take the necessary steps to do it. I did not win overnight. It was a process. I had to practice. I had gone through some health issues, and I had to work out and become more fit. I had to make good decisions in terms of my wardrobe and in terms of my interview. And I had to work really hard. But what is it in your life that you think you want to do, but you think it may be too hard? I challenge you to write down and answer your questions about what matters to you. Figure out what it is that you can do every day. Someone told me to think of myself as a company. So Juanita Incorporated, what have you done for yourself, for your company that day to attain your goals? What choices are you making in your life? And believe it or not, it adds up and it matters. So you have to be self-motivated no matter what the world or anyone else tells you. You have to be motivated to accomplish what you want to do in life. And there's something unique for each one of you to do that no one else can do it. I can't do it. Nobody else can do it. Only you. But if you shrink and you never rise to the occasion, you'll never know. So I want to take questions. That's all I have today. I want to take questions from each one of you or anyone that has any questions. All right? What time is it? 11:56. Oh, okay. I talked too long. Okay, I'm going to answer these really quickly. What gave you the confidence to become a model? Well, you know, I honestly didn't see a lot of people that looked like me. So it wasn't really so much confidence, but just the fact that I wanted to be a role model for other girls that look like me. So I look out into this audience and I see a bunch of you that look like me. And I think representation matters. So it was more so motivation than just a selfish desire to be a model. What made you think to become a lawyer? I said it earlier, I like to help people. Being a lawyer is really just about solving problems and helping other people solve their problems. I know we get a bad rap sometimes, but you call us when you need us. That's all I'm going to say. And we're very necessary. During your journey to become Mrs. Universe, did you receive any discouragement? Yes. And if you did, how did you deal with that? Absolutely. I had people tell me that this was silly. You have people who don't believe in pageantry, that they feel like it's outdated. I had people tell me I was too short. I used to get made fun of when I was in school, and people used to make fun of me. So my nickname used to be Focus because I had really thick glasses. And they were like, oh, you can see molecules in the air. Like, you know, glasses are so thick. And so they used to call me Focus. And then I got contacts, and I took my glasses off, and they were like, oh my gosh, your eyes are so big. Yes, because my glasses were covering that. Now you can see it. And so they used to call me Peepers. Yes. And so to this day, I went to college with people that honestly thought my mother named me Peepers. My mother would never do that. But there are things about you that you feel insecure about sometimes. And my eyes were one of those things where I always felt like, well, maybe I'm not pretty enough. I have these really big eyes. And now they're my absolute favorite asset on my whole body. Like, it's the best thing. I can wear a big lash. I can do a whole lot of like eyeshadow. It's my favorite feature. But I had to push through being made fun of and called peepers my whole life. And to this day, when I go back to college and to homecoming, everybody's like, peepers. So yeah. How many books did you write? So I have 3 inspirational books, and then I have a 7-part Christian series for kids called The Wonderfully Made Path. And I have a new book coming out in the spring. Oh, okay. I'm gonna fly through them. Okay, well, I love talking, as you can tell. I said one day people would pay me to talk, and that would be my profession. We're running out of time. I really want to go through more questions. I'll take one more. What languages do I speak? I speak English. I speak a little bit of Mandarin because I lived in Taiwan. I took Spanish for 5 years. When I go to Spain and I do an immersion, my Spanish comes back to me. So I took Spanish for 5 years. It's very important that you learn another language. You are all global citizens already. The world is global, so it's important that you do that. I want to thank everybody for having me today.
We want to thank Mrs. Universe for putting this together again. Now, people have asked about pictures, so we're going to take, we're going to take all right, one. All right, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Shh. All right, listen. We're gonna do this decently in order, and everyone, every group will get your group picture with Mrs. Universe, okay? Every group. So this is the way we're gonna do it. Listen. First of all, we're gonna have JROTC. On the count of 3, you're going to go out to the foyer where the piano is, and Ms. Gooding is gonna meet you out there. And Ms. McKay will meet them outside. So this gives you an opportunity to go out, get a symbol, and all Mrs. Universe has to do is to come and stand in the middle, okay? All right, while they're doing that, we get a chance to do more questions, maybe 3 more questions, so listen. JROTC, go. All right, everybody else, I will tell you who's gonna go next, so you can prepare. Instead will be next. You will take your picture and then exit into the box. All right? And we have over. I want to thank Ms. Put your hands together for the superintendent of Hempstead, Ms. Regina Armstrong. very much.